Everyone enjoys life's commodities. For many people, these indulgences include products of the cosmetic industry, a hair product, a lotion, even a lip balm. However, what goes unnoticed is just how many of these products involve the exploitation and crude testing of animals. The horrors associated with the animal testing are immense. However, the horrors associated with cosmetics, the byproducts of these testing, are practically non-existent. Today, I'd like to educate each of you on the horrific and cruel degrading practices that these animals undergo every day and demonstrate how you, the consumer, could enlist ethical alternatives to put an end to these wrongful practices. Did you know that when an animal-tested product so much as even warns it is irritating to the skin, eyes, an animal has already had chemicals rubbed on its shaved skin or eyes with no relief for the pain? Now I'd like each of you to imagine yourself in those situations. There are so many ways in which animals suffer at the expense of our own beauty. Isa Iglesias of the Manila Times newspaper issue of June 2017 describes the process of dripping ingredients into their eyes, smearing them on their skin, injecting their bodies, force-feeding them, or making them inhale these substances to see possible effects. All of these are examples of the grotesque and inhumane conditions which animals are subjected to every day. Disturbing, isn't it? What about these? All of these are the byproducts of the same conditions seen before. These pretty labels disguise the harsh truth, because the truth isn't something pretty to look at, that corporate entities profit off of the exploitation of innocent animals, and that we, the consumers, have supported this by buying it. Historically, animals have repeatedly been used in biomedical research, dating all the way back to the early scientists such as Aristotle in 384 BC. Much of the knowledge we know today has actually been derived from these experiments. However, in today's age, there are so many alternative forms of testing available to us that it is unacceptable to continue the abuse of these animals for our own profit. The Manila Times newspaper issue published in June 2017 stated that testing even a single ingredient for deodorant, hair dye, or sunscreen, even with the guidelines set forth by the Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, can easily involve the death of around 1,400 animals. The most obvious issue regarding the effectiveness of animal testing is that the anatomy of a human and animals used for testing are fundamentally different, meaning that although a rat may share similar organ structure to that of a human, it is not the same. Therefore, researchers are not entirely able to predict how we might metabolize different ingredients. Side effects, some often harmful, are missed, and millions of dollars are wasted. Erickson of the Newsweek issue of 2014 stated, "To move away from animal testing will require some lateral thinking. Life must become a little more abstract. Or in simpler terms, we would have to be able to create an algorithm which could accurately mimic human life. Scientists have actually made many breakthroughs. It's what they call a chemosynthetic liver. This is a metabolic product created using liver cells, which can actually predict how the human body might react to certain products with a degree of accuracy that in many ways is superior to most animal testings conducted." Newsweek goes on to describe a proposed lung on a chip, heart on a chip, kidney on a chip, or even brain on a chip. The goal is to build 10 miniature systems and link them together, thereby mimicking the whole body physiology, a human on a chip, if you will. With this in place, we would eventually be able to minimize and ultimately put an end to animal testing. So, I've described alternatives scientists might use, but what can you, the consumer, do to help put an end to these wrongful practices? The easiest solution would be not to buy animal tested products, because by continuing to buy these products, you are effectively supporting an industry which profits off the suffering of animals. This might require a little label reading. All products which involve animal testing are required to state as such. Label reading may sound like a hassle, but by researching products and refusing to buy the ones which aren't ethically sourced, we are able to send a message. That message being, we will not tolerate the exploitation of animals. The cosmetic industry is first and foremost a business. Thusly, it responds best to numbers. By boycotting unethical products, we are depriving the companies of the profits necessary to maintain and support their businesses. By purchasing products produced through animal testing, we are thereby endorsing the systematic torture and exploitation of animals for financial gain. With practices such as these being driven by fiscal beneficiaries, any monetary contribution given to them helps perpetuate the suffering of animals. By withdrawing your support from unethical companies and buying instead from cruelty-free labels, you are in effect not only helping to put an end to these practices, but also helping to fund ethical alternatives. Alternatives include intelligent solutions in which scientists are actually able to simulate the human body with a degree of accuracy that it is in many ways superior to the ones in place now. So, next time you go to wash your hair, apply your makeup, or even spray on some fragrance, look at the label and think of the animals suffering right now for a very ugly beauty industry.